Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're all well wherever you are and whatever you're up to. I'm Lauren, and in my video for this week I wanted to chat to you about two projects that I've made recently that make a nice little outfit. And they are the Grainline Patterns Archer shirt, which is what I'm wearing just now, and then also the Closet Case Patterns Sasha Trousers. So this is the first make of 2019 that I'm sharing really, and I felt like I got off to a bit of a slow start with my sewing, but when we had the new Atelier Brunette fabrics come in, the viscose diamond, which is what I've used to make this, I just couldn't resist. And it's just funny what you can make time for when you're really motivated to make something new. So I decided I want to make something with them, and I decided on the Grainline Archer shirt because it's quite loose fitting and it's got traditional shirt features, like it's got the collar with the stand and a simple button placket. There's actually two variations, so you could either have so it's got a yoke at the back, and then you could either just have it sort of straight with a pleat underneath the yoke, or you have it without the pleat and then you can have this sort of bottom ruffle bit at the bottom, which is the version that I went for. So I made a size 4, they are US sizes, the size range is 0 to 18, and I was probably sort of in between sizes a little bit, of kind of in between a 4 and a 6, but it does come up really loose. It's not got any darts or anything at all, it's really not fitted, so if you are between sizes it might be worth just looking at the finished measurement chart just to see what size you would sort of feel comfortable with. In terms of constructing it, now this fabric is really slippy, it's so fluid and it moves a lot, which is amazing when you're wearing it, and it just gives such a lovely garment, but it does mean it's just a bit more to handle at the sewing stage. But what I did was, when I was coming to cut it out, I actually used the diamond weave that's in the fabric to my advantage, because it's woven in, and you know that that's kind of on the straight grain of the fabric. So when I folded the fabric in half, I just made sure that the same bit of the diamond pattern was like along the fold, and then the cut edge of the fabric where it had been cut from the bolt, I just made sure that it was cut along the same part of the diamond as well, and that was sort of lined up as I folded the fabric in half. And then I always just use like the corner of the table that I'm working on, or I quite often do it my kitchen island, just square it up to that, and then you can make sure that it's all sort of sitting flat as you come to cut it out. I also used my micro serration scissors. These scissors are really good because they've got little teeth along the blade, and it just means that the blade grips the fabric a little bit more, so it just means you have more control, especially with really slippy fabrics. And then I also used my super fine pins, so I've indulged myself in actually having two magnetic pin cushions. One is for normal pins and one is for my super fine pins, and these were just lovely going through the fabric, just no snagging at all, just like putting it through butter. And yeah, they just felt like they were much more gentle on the fabric, because my thicker pins seemed like they were making a bit more of a hole in the fabric. So I can definitely recommend them if you need to top up on your pins. And then really, when you come to sew with this fabric, patience and calmness and slowness is the name of the game. You know, it does move around a lot, but you just need to take your time with it, and it was totally fine. I find it quite satisfying, just like take things a little bit slower. And yeah, there's some really nice details in this pattern. I love the collar. It's got the, you know, proper collar stand on it, and the oversized patch pockets are really nice as well. I mean, completely unfunctional. I don't know what you could put in there, but I think they just add a really nice look to the garment. Also put in one of the Kylie in the Machine labels too. Oh yes, I did make this. And we've got a whole range of the Kylie in the Machine labels in the shop if you fancy adding them to your handmade items. So as I said before, I decided to do the version with the ruffle bit over the bum at the back, and compared to the line drawing which came with the pattern, I kind of felt like it wasn't as gathered as what I thought it was going to be. It's a bit more of a subtle gather. It's not as full as I had interpreted from the line drawing, but I think it's still really nice. It's just like a different sort of detail. I've got quite a lot of shirts, so it's nice to have something that's a bit different. It did also come up a bit longer than I thought, so I probably cut off about 1.5 inches, to be honest, from the length before I then hemmed it. So I did shorten it a little bit, so this come up quite long. Something to just bear in mind, I guess. And then at the cuffs, you're supposed to cut a strip of like a bias strip out of the main fabric to make the little placket bit at the cuff, but I basically got a bit lazy and couldn't be bothered doing that. So I just used some of our Atelier Brunette viscose crepe binding in the kind of orangey colour, which I think tones really nicely. So that's just like a little bit of contrast there. And then on the inside, I overlocked all of my seam allowances for fastness. I mean, I could have done French seams probably if I'd just, you know, thought of at the time or felt like I wanted to. I guess I couldn't be bothered. Overlocking seemed quicker. But then I do quite often wear my shirt cuffs kind of rolled up a little bit. I often don't wear it like the sleeve is the full length as the sleeve. I roll it back. And then I was seeing the overlock stitches, so I kind of ended up doing like a little bit of a mock flat felled seam. So I just turned the seam allowance under to hide the stitching of the overlocker, and then I just top stitched it down so you can kind of see like a line of top stitching basically the seam. I just did it to the elbow, I didn't need to do it all the way up. But that might be something to bear in mind if you can't be bothered doing a French seam. Probably best just to do that, but you know, there's always options out there. So once I'd finished my shirt, I was then thinking, what is my next project going to be? And I'd been thinking about using one of our new stretch cotton gaberdine Liberty prints to make another pair of Sashas. So I've got 2 pairs of Sasha trousers already and I totally love them. I wear trousers a lot, and I wear trousers out because I just wear them constantly, jeans especially. So it's nice to have a variation in the trouser department. But yeah, I've been thinking about making a pair of trousers anyway with one of those new gabardines, and then the tiger lily print just went so nicely with the orange of my new Archer shirt. So I decided to make out of that, and I wanted it to be quite a quick make. So the Sasha does come with pocket options. You can have slash pockets at the front, and they also have a pocket stay as well, which just means that the pocket sort of extends into the fly at the front. There's also welt pockets at the back which you can put onto, but I decided to just ditch all pocket options, just make them really simple. And yeah, I didn't do any pockets. And then they've got a waistband at the top and they're quite slim fitting. And then I actually also tapered in below the knee. I just made them a little bit slimmer than what they were coming up. So I just made the seam allowance about 2 centimetres rather than 1.5 centimetres. It was probably like just under 2 centimetres. But I did that on the inside leg and the outside leg, but just below the knee. So they fitted me fine in the thigh. It was just lower down. I wanted them just to be a little bit thinner. And it took me 2 goes to get that right. I did it too much the first time and they were way too tight, so I had to take it out and do it again. It's just a bit of trial and error with that. The other adjustments that I did are just quite standard trouser adjustments for me. So I always do a flat bum adjustment because I've not got much there, which is where you just basically like cut a slash in the back coming from like the crotch curve at the back. So you just cut the pattern and then overlap it a little bit, and it just takes out a wedge of the fabric over the bum. And then I usually also have to take out a bit at the centre back seam as well, but I don't adjust that on the pattern. Usually it varies how much I have to do it by how stretchy the fabric is. So I always just like baste the trousers together and as I'm making them, and then try them on and fit them. I probably ended up taking it in like a couple of centimetres, maybe like 2.5 centimetres at the centre back. But they're just, as I said, they're quite sort of standard trouser adjustments that I have to do. And then on the inside waistband, sort of facing part of the waistband, I put some bias binding round the bottom. This was gold stuff that I got in Annika Bazaar in Paris last year, which I just kind of had in my stash, so it was nice to use that. I just wish I'd maybe like trimmed it down a little bit. It just feels like it's a little bit long, but it's fine, and it totally works anyway. So if you are new to making trousers and you fancy giving the Sashas a go, please don't be put off by the fact that it has a fly front. Fly fronts are really not as bad as you would think, and I made some little clips as I was making mine just so you could kind of see the processes that you go through. But the instructions that come with the Sasha pattern are really, really good, and you just have to sort of break it down step by step. And when you do a fly for the first time, it's hard to sort of see how like one step leads on to the next, but try not to overthink it. Just follow the instructions as they say, step by step. Don't overthink it, just do like each little chunk at a time, and then you will find that it just kind of comes together. and it honestly actually is really not that bad at all, and I actually find it quite satisfying. You know, it's one of those processes that I don't think I could do just off the top of my head. I don't think I've made enough trousers yet, but just following the instructions and going through it all is actually totally fine. And in terms of sizing for the sashes, I made a size 6. I'm probably more between a 6 and an 8 to be honest, but because I've made the sashes twice before and I made a 6 in them then, and I knew that they fit me, I just sort of stuck with the 6. But you do have to make sure the fabric that you use to make sashes is stretchy. The pattern says it's got to have at least 20% stretch, so just bear that in mind. They do have negative ease, so the trousers do come up smaller than your actual body measurements, but that is because they stretch around they're designed to stretch around your hips and in your waist. So yeah, that is my new little outfit that has got me into my 2019 sewing. If you want to see more pictures or sort of read about any of the stuff that I've said in the video, kind of like show notes, then you can check out the blog post that is linked to this video. I'll put the link for it in the description to the video, and you can buy the pattern and the fabrics in my online shop, and all the links to them are in the blog post as well. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope it's given you some inspiration and you're having fun whatever you're making out there. Just remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, then you can hit subscribe so you don't miss out on my next video. Got lots of exciting things planned coming up. So I hope you have a good week and happy sewing, and I'll see you next time. Bye!